Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking the call.
Thank you for calling.
Okay. I actually had a question. Let me preface by saying my son recently started school, and I went down, wrote the letter to the Department of Health to get the exemptions for his vaccine. And so I didn't have to get him vaccinated. But the issue now is that I'm wondering, is it just the MMR vaccine that I should worry about? And even that, I've had a discussion with the school nurse, and she was telling me that they don't use that thermilosol in the MMR. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm having this moral dilemma because I obviously don't want my son to be harmed by me doing this, but then again, I would absolutely feel guilty if he were to get polio or hepatitis, something along these lines. So I'm just wondering if you could touch on that. Tell me if other vaccines, such as the polio vaccine, the hepatitis vaccines, et cetera, are dangerous as well. And if you could...
is your son injecting heroin?
No, sir.
Is your son having unprotected sex?
No, sir.
What's he need a hepatitis shot for? Except for we buy most our food from Mexican growers who spray human feces as the main form of fertilizer all over the food, and they buy it for the school lunch program.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with free trade, huh?
Well, it's not even free trade. It's that look, I'm not going to give you advice. Are there vaccines that could be clean and tested and that could help? Absolutely. Inoculation works, but it's very dangerous, and there's scores of epidemiologists and virologists that will tell you this, and it should only be done for things that are deadly, like polio. Our government lets us have 7,000 cases of leprosy last year. We only would have a few a year before that. All these things of meningitis and all this stuff now coming in because our border is wide open. 100 years ago at Ellis Island, they checked you for this. If you had it, you couldn't come in. Now it's just come in. Put these kids right next to in a year, an average person in a working environment who has tuberculosis will give it to 37 people. And they admit it's spreading. They have people in quarantine everywhere, but they keep it real quiet. See, there's huge issues. There's huge things happening all over the place. But if the media doesn't make it a big deal, out of sight, out of mind. It's like there have been dozens of police killed this year, over 600 deaths. Another article here, U.S. Embassy closed, U.S. Mission closed in Nuevo Laredo. Nothing on the news about it. So out of sight, out of mind. More dangerous than Israel right now in those areas of South Texas per capita. The State Department's issued 3 advisories. Don't go down there. Whole big border towns on both sides that thrive on tourism are shut down. Big cities are falling apart, but they don't tell you about it on the news, so it doesn't exist. Let me just, on this vaccine thing, tell you something. Let's say milk's good for your child. That's debatable too, but the point is, let's say milk's good for your child. Cow's milk. But your neighbor's been in jail for 50 years for poisoning a child's milk. That's what he likes to do. He likes to sneak into houses, put poison in the milk, and kill kids. He just gets out. He moves in with his brother, who lives next door to you, and it's on the news that the guy that did the milk murders, this is hypothetical, folks, has moved into this house. You look in the paper, my God, it's next door. And you look out the window, and there he is getting out of the car. It's the milk killer. And then he knocks on your door that night, and you go to the door, and you open it. Hi. And he goes, I brought some milk for your child. You'd go, hell no. It's not that the milk's bad. It's that the person who brought you this milk openly has been... Now, the UN, the World Health Organization, the CDC have all been caught adding sterilizers, cancer viruses, poisons on purpose as part of a declassified program to sterilize and a eugenics reduction the population. And there's big shot doctors watching right now. You're sitting there right now. You're watching me right now. I want you to go to Google and just start Googling it. And don't when you Google it wrong, go, and not look. Google it right and read all the big medical reports and all the scientific reports and, a couple hundred epidemiologists meeting in Chicago a year ago. Go and get all this information for yourself. Okay, and find out. Type in Henry Kissinger population reduction documents. Type in Australia. Poisoning vaccines for population reduction. Australia poisoning food shipments to Asia for sterilization. Just don't go, it isn't true. I'm changing the channel. That guy's nuts. No, come on. You prove me wrong. Feel good. Good. Prove it's all not true. Go. Just prove it all. You're not going to do it, are you? You're going to just flip me off and, okay, fine. Give your kids a shot then. It's that the people making the vaccines can't be trusted. Whether they're totally negligent or pure evil, we know they're pure evil. We have their own documents. But let's just say they're totally negligent. Now they're getting Congress to pass a law where they have total liability protection in perpetuity for everything. And by the way, your nurse is full of it. They have made available vaccines that cost about 4 times as much that do not have mercury thimerosal preservative. So yes, you can special order vaccines. They are now available that do not have it. Now, that's the truth. The Associated Press admits and reports in the other vaccines for some reason, as if they're mad at us. Damn them, we've really got to reduce their IQs. Increase the level to 250 times safe levels when it was only 50 times safe levels before. They have actually increased it in the flu shot, in MMR, and a score of other vaccines. Let me tell you another thing. I have a family doctor here in town, very prominent doctor in town. Might go to the doctor once every 2 years. I met the doctor about a year ago, getting a checkup. And he goes, Alex, I used to think you were nuts, but let me just tell you something. But listen to me. Don't tell anybody. You got to swear. And I said, sure, doctor, I won't say anything. What is it? Well, I volunteer for clinics once a year, when we get the kids vaccinated before school, and we have them at the local sports stadiums and places. He goes, we're giving illegal, and I refuse to do it. He said, I refuse to do it. Illegal, banned in the U.S., polio, SV40 contaminated liquid, oral. He's telling me, but he's going, now I shouldn't have told you, just don't say anything. But see, that's his guilt. That's his guilt. I shouldn't have told you. I don't know why they're doing it. I ask people, they don't know. Because that's what they do, folks. You don't think. That stuff goes right into your gland, right here. Right into that saliva point. Right, just take your cancer. You go take your cancer, bone-wrenching death. I mean, that's just the admitted. How many doctors out there know that there are hundreds of known cancer viruses infesting vaccines that were grown in tissues? You're not a doctor, Alex. I don't want to. It's doctors. This is reports. This is admitted. So it isn't that I'm against milk. It's that the serial killer who kills people with poisoned milk is at my door telling me to give this to my kids. There's the analogy. They're eugenicists. This is what they're into. They openly say they want to kill you. Jesus. And see, people just can't deal with it. They just can't deal with it. I spent 10 minutes in the hall tonight, time I didn't have, running down smoking guns at 9/11 for somebody. He just said, I just can't believe it. It's just too evil. And I went, okay, they now publicly admit what I told you years ago, Gulf of Tonkin, totally staged. They now admit the USS Liberty was totally staged. We attacked our own ship to blame it on Egypt. They now admit this. He's going, yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But still, I just can't. George Bush is anointed of God. Folks, and so is Noam Chomsky. And so is Adolf Hitler. I'm just sick of it. I'm totally freaked out. I try to disprove my findings. I try to disprove what's happening. We have a criminally insane... Folks, our government will take troops, and this is in the declassified stuff is in the late 80s, mid 80s. And they'll just put a young volunteer to let us give you a flu virus for the country. Would you sign these forms? Sure, I'd be glad to. You'll get some extra time off. Instead of that 2-day leave, you'll have a 5-day. How's that sound? And they know it's going to kill him. And the young man who volunteered for the Army walks into a chamber and they hit him with nerve gas and kill him. And it comes out in AP, BBC. They do it to a whole bunch of people, and then nothing happens. Folks, it is in Haaretz and the Jerusalem Post. I had Barry Hamish, the reporter, on about it, and it's even been on Israeli TV. They just calmly report it. They took 100,000, 110,000 actually, but over 100,000 Jewish children, Sephardic, Middle Eastern, Real Jews, folks, real Jews that are fed on by the blonde-haired, blue-eyed type. Oh, they really get mad if you say that. Ooh, big taboo right there. And I'm sorry, these are Nazis we're dealing with. And they took them, and the Zionist Labor Party, that's what it's called. This is Haratz, folks. They took them and they stuck them in machines and gave them 35,000 times radiation. Most of them died within a week. Many others died later. But this is publicly. Can you imagine? Our government paid for it, paid because they wanted these findings, and they talked to the scientists and people who did it. And it's, well, we had to test this in case there was a nuclear war. No, it wasn't about that. It was about just testing your own people to see if they do these evils, setting milestones, setting precedents. And if the ADL wants to attack me, and the Jewish World Review wants to attack me because I'm against killing 110,000 Jewish children, then crucify me, man. Knock me out. This freaks me out.